On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Yeah, in fact. We've got Jack Smithy, Jackie Boy. He's backing out, it seems, and possibly of a bunch of stuff. We're gonna see how these things play out. He had a bit of a snippety remark, I feel, when he put out his final words. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of things going on. We have a huge fight in front of us 2 months ahead. We had the deep state slash Democrats doing a very interesting push. We're starting to learn a lot about them, digging into their background a little bit. So things are starting to change. Some new sheriffs are coming into town, and again, so much to talk about. Let's get into it for the most part. What do we got? Oh, this was a great place to start. This is where we're going to start. Please, for all of you that have been working towards this effort and have feel the pain to some degree, this is for you, this is for us, this is for me, this is for all of us.
If no one calls you dangerous, it means you've never stood your ground. If no one fears you, it means you've never dared to disrupt the order. And if no one speaks ill of you, well, it means you've never stood tall enough to cast a shadow. The truth is, people reveal their insecurities in how they treat you. If they envy you, it's because you possess something they can't. If they mock you, it's because they don't understand the strength of your mind. And if they try to bring you down, it's because they've already realized you're above them. Criticism, slander, even imitation, these aren't insults. They're acknowledgments, proof that you matter, that you stand out, that you're living a life others can't ignore. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them fear. Their resistance only confirms your strength. After all, no one tries to stop a ghost. They only chase the ones who are truly alive. If you are not following, you will never hear my voice again. But if you are, then congratulations, you are growing every day.
People fear, people question, people... Here's the thing. You can only react to something that you can understand, that makes sense to you, that is inside of you. So you either admire things about people because it's actually a quality within yourself that you recognize in this other, and maybe you feel they do it better than you, possibly, whatever. But it's acknowledging something that already exists within you. And likewise, the things that we hate in others, or how the adage goes, when you point your finger at somebody, there's three pointing back at you. You're disliking a quality that exists within you. So this is one of the most powerful things to learn. Know thyself. They say that for a reason, and this is kind of a big part of why. When you understand the way the world reacts to you, it helps explain how you're being, how you need to be, and what you can do to change. And when you, hopefully teacher of teachers, right? When you put yourself up in that position where you can be on a pedestal, you need to maintain that humbleness the best of your ability. And you need to kind of remember these things, that sometimes people are going to see in you what is something maybe that's there, but not necessarily how you're being. Because again, a lot of you guys that really pay attention to comments and stuff, there's a lot of trolls, and they'll break your heart. They'll break your heart. So again, just for all of you guys that try to go after this, I don't know how many of you in my audience are actively seeking some form of interaction. I think there's probably, hopefully, a few of you, a bunch, I hope. No doubt we're about to witness the single largest coordinated effort to cripple a POTUS in history. Some Tucker stuff here. I didn't actually listen to all this, so hopefully it's as good as I expect it to be.
I am very concerned that the people who have hated Trump for 8 years and run out of ways to destroy him, indicting him, well, first calling him a racist, spying on him with the federal intel agencies, sicking the FBI on him, trying to put him in prison, then trying to kill him at least twice, probably more, actually, but at least twice. And that those people, out of options, have decided the only way to stop Trump and the disclosure that a Trump administration will bring, once again, disclosure is what they fear, having their crimes revealed, that the only way to stop Trump is with a world war. And so I've been pretty fixated on that for months, probably more than a year. I've just thought a lot about it, and I know a lot of the people involved, and they're very, very, very focused on war. Permanent Washington doesn't care about domestic policy, in case your viewers, I'm sure, know this, but just want to restate it. They don't care about domestic policy. They don't care about fixing the country, closing the borders, ending the drug crisis, getting the cartels out of, the entire Southwest. They don't care about that. What they care about is exercising power abroad, killing people because it makes them feel like God and making money. And that's where the money is, trillions of dollars. So they care about foreign policy. And I have been concerned and remain concerned that that group of people, which is basically everyone in DC in both parties, wants Trump to take the country to war, either against Russia or, comma, far more likely, comma, Iran. And I think what people outside, I don't know how to the degree to which this is understood, but I just will say it. A war with Iran is a world war. This is not 2002. Iran is now part of a coalition that includes the biggest economies in the world and the largest militaries in the world. So a war with Iran means a war in effect, or by proxy, but still a war with Russia, China, Turkey, and a lot of the rest of the world. So that's a world war. It's not just as simple as we're going to take out their nuclear facilities. Okay, how are you going to do that? And how are you going to ensure that that doesn't destroy the United States in the process? And of course, they don't care whether it destroys the United States. That's the actual answer. They don't care. And if they cared, they would pause and think about it. But anyway, I don't want to be bitter about it. But to me, it's really simple. Anybody who would even consider having a war with Russia or Iran should not be in any position of power at all in this administration or any other administration. It's super simple. And I think especially Ukraine is so obvious. Now, there is some debate on Iran, and I'm not endorsing Iran. I'm not a Shiite. But there's really no debate at this point about the debacle that has been Ukraine. Ukraine's not going to win. It's just completely destroyed Ukraine. It hasn't crushed Russia. It's really hurt the United States. So anyone who can't say that out loud should not have a job in the federal bureaucracy. So that's my litmus test. It's not about people or personality. Right. Of course, I know them all, as I know you do too, and I like a lot of them. I even like some of the guys I disagree with. One in particular I like very much. Nice guy, good guy. But it's a simple, practical test for whether or not you should wield power. Do you have the requisite wisdom to lead my country? And if you're still defending the war in Ukraine, you do not have the requisite wisdom to lead my country. That's my opinion.
I think the people actually in charge right now, and I would say like Putin, Xi, Trump, Orban, Milei, they're actually shaping the world part of this and are going to work together. I'm 100% sure that in some way, shape, or form, there's communications that are happening that, or at least understandings, more likely, understandings between Putin and Trump without having to talk, without having to have people go back and forth. They know what's up. They get the big picture. They know who's on which side. So we're seeing this all play out. Now, again, what Tucker's been talking about, and again, I wish he understood how much what you focus on is what you help create, but we are at a place right now where people are waking up to this reality, waking up to this, no, we can't do that. We can't die from a nuclear war. That would be horrible. And then finally we'll snap out of this craziness that they're in. But I was talking to a guy at the gym today, old gentleman, great guy. He apparently his wife even sometimes listens to me. Hello, Ron's wife. That's very cool. All said, how fast this moves, how much of this we figure out in advance, how much we're fighting, how much they slash and burn. Like it's just too much. It's too much. It's a trip with how we work through this is going to be just, I think, powerful. I don't know. This is kind of like one of those examples of something that's been a huge speed bump, I think, with our movement, or huge distractor, huge fight thing, kind of like flat earth. It's one of those, I hate using that as an example, but it's such a good example. There's fun little things that cause rifts within our own group that really shouldn't, right? Like I speak pretty positively about flat earth. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, I don't know for sure it's round. It's just, I took a lot of physics classes, and I got you. I've seen all the stuff you guys say. I still think it's round, actually. And it's weird, like when you're at the ocean, doesn't it kind of look like it goes up? I don't know. It's always one of the weird things I thought when I was growing up. It's like, I swear to God, it looks like it goes up. Looks like it's higher. Looks like the ocean's above us, like it should just be spilling onto me. But it doesn't seem to. So another one of those things is vaccines and how Trump did Operation Warp Speed. And what's funny is, and it's how it works, because I think Trump and Probably his son's helping too, I'm sure. But he understands how information moves. And so it's not hard to kind of work with that. If you've got, if you're high enough up the food chain, I assume, it's not like I can say something and it'll just go running around the world. Maybe, who knows? I know I should speak more positively of myself. So who knows? Maybe a bunch of people are running off and saying stuff. I do see stories all the time after I've talked about them. I'm like, that's so funny. I was just talking about that yesterday. How weird. But this is a huge point that came out. Don Jr. posted, and I got a couple things here around this. And that's why I think it's important, because a lot of us are very black and white. He was promoting warp speed. I don't understand. Here's some stuff that maybe helps you understand the 5G chess part of this. This is really the problem, too, in all reality. Everybody looks at things very black and white. You've either done this thing bad once, or 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, or you did this bad thing. We hold people to weird accounts. We expect people to always be perfect if we're going to ever let them be in public service. Everybody is a sinner, as we know. And so it's just funny because a lot of times I think we should give a little more, questions always, but certainly in Trump's case, he's done really good, nailing it down. Why did he do warp speed? Warp speed stopped the FEMA death camps. This is Donald Trump Jr. truthing this. When Trump says it saved millions of lives, it's because it did. From the FEMA death camps. Right now, the plan has been neutralized by warp speed. If Trump were to speak up on the vax injuries, it gives a whole slew of counter moves to the deep state. This was posted. Tori says this. Hey, Adam Carter, serious combo. Do you know why real Donald Trump deployed warp speed? COVID vax trials already deployed by China and India in 2020. 1 million participants. Had been done by first quarter of 2020. China was marketing to the world. He didn't want us to be forced to take Chinese-made shit. That was the primary reason. There are more. No one wants to talk about them. You see, he doesn't potentially get credit for creating the option. They tried to force it. That wasn't him. He created the option for people that needed a vax, wanted a vax, believed in vaxes. Gave them a way to do it so it wasn't through China, so it wasn't death camps, FEMA death camps. We all saw how many, who was it? Jesse Ventura was pointing it out way back when. Alex Jones talked about him way back when. There's bunches of them, supposedly, which would make great places to maybe put people that we're deporting in, while we're processing. Just something to think about. So yeah, a lot to think about here. This is RFK Jr., obviously, way back in the day. What's funny is his voice already starts to sound like maybe the worm's involved. I just using excuses. I don't know what the worm is, but you can tell it's already starting to happen. But all said, the words he's saying is... it's the same dude now, as far as I can tell.
And since then is you now have 6 companies, 6 large multinationals that control every radio station in America and all of the television stations in America and 80% of the newspapers. The television news departments have become corporate profit centers. They no longer have an obligation to benefit the American public. So their only obligation is to their shareholders. How do they satisfy that obligation? By expanding viewership so they can sell more ad space. How do you expand viewership? Why, you do that by appealing to the prurient interest that all of us have in the reptilian core of our brain for sex and celebrity gossip. So they give us Lacey Peterson, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, and lots of terror alerts, because that gets viewership as well. But they're not telling us the real news that is affecting people in this country. The fact that today, 1 out of every 6 American women now has so much mercury in her womb that her children are at risk for a grim inventory of diseases: autism, blindness, mental retardation, heart, liver, kidney disease.
These are a few of my favorite things. I don't think so. So yes, talking about the grim world that they were trying to push on us. It's hard for people to wake up to this too. Well, I had another point I was going to make, but I guess it's... Yeah. This is pretty powerful as well. Presley, this lady, the one that, if you say anything about her whatsoever, she's got 8 different things she can say to you that would, make you feel like you're taking advantage of one of the check boxes she has. You know, you're a racist or whatever. Of course, she's got the alopecia or whatever going on too, right? So win-win all over the place. Well, she goes off on her boy there from, was it Louisiana? Was that where he's from, down there in Bayou? I don't know. He's got that Higgins. Yeah. She kind of gets her shit handed to herself, and it's pretty cool because then she starts yammering in the background, interrupting, which is like the whole. It's just first off, politics is just crazy right now, and yeah, we're almost like, what are these countries where people literally run in and they've like punched each other and stuff? I feel like we're like, close. We're close. Really close. By the way, I can squish you. All right, all said. Here's Presley.
And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Yes. Your perversion of his words and his mission, when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
I thank my colleague, and I appreciate my Democrat colleague for exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right? That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Well, thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
A disgrace.
And we will continue to speak freely because I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's the Constitution I swore an allegiance to. And that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote. And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back.
Unreal. Like, that was almost a Spirit Air event. Almost. Like, we're close. We're close to where she was going to just jump over the counter or throw a shoe at him or some well, I don't know. I don't know how shoes were. In the Asian community, it could totally be a shoe. And I think also Middle Eastern. I'm not sure about the black community. I'm not sure if you guys are willing to throw a shoe or not. I feel like you're going to kind of more into body. Like, you're all in. Like, I don't know. That's my hunch. I'm not sure. Probably the wrong person to ask, maybe. All said. Inside the insidious Democratic plot to keep Biden in office. This is funny. So, during the whole election cycle, you guys remember, third-party candidates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as an example, and a couple others, actually were trying to, they were rising up in the ranks. They were literally pulling off 2%, 3%, 5%, 7%, especially amongst just Democrats. I think the Marianne Williamson wasn't even doing that bad, right? So what the Democrats it's not the Democrat, I don't know, it's the deep state. I keep wanting to just assume it's the deep state that's like corrupted and cancered everything, and the Democrats are kind of like the last front that we have to like root out the cancer. Whatever. But their plan included bird-dogging members of Congress who would support such an option, such a person, but they would send activists, right? So if you were trying to run as a third party or running against Biden or running, they would literally send people to either mess at your house. They talked about one story where they went down to their actual home. They'd send protesters to make noise earlier in the morning so they'd piss off the neighbors. Remember how Kamala Harris talked about how she would mess with people severely, and then like a week or 2 or 3 or a month or few months later, after she'd messed their lives up, then she'd undo it just to make a point? That's communism. That's what China does, and hopefully is breaking away from, I pray. But that is exactly how that works. This is how they work. The brown shirts and all that. It's a corrupt. It's a thing. They actually they controlled the megaphone. They did. They don't anymore. And when Musk said we're the media, I mean, it certainly means from the standpoint of X, that's true. I think it's also true from the standpoint of Rumble, because still YouTube, there's a lot of things that they get a little grumpy about. But I will say, because I do post over there, even though they shadow ban the shit out of me, completely shadow ban me. I grow like 5 subs a week on YouTube. Like, I just think I would do okay over there. All said. I did at first anyways. But they continue to, like they do, they're not strikes. They're, you get busted when you're doing your upload, and you wait until you get done with the upload, and then it shows you all the things you've done wrong. And most of them are like, it doesn't matter because I'm not monetized. But all of them would keep me from being monetized. So there's 0 chance that this channel would ever get monetized over there. But it also has every once in a while things I literally have to trim out. It's like, this can't be shown. Copyright violation can't be shown in any country. It's like, wow. So they, I end up getting an email and stuff too, but I didn't publish it, so it's cool. And then I fix it. There's a trim function. But it's just funny how it's neutered. I won't change my show, and I'm very happy that YouTube does what it does. I mean, Rumble, I get 30 times, 50, I don't know, whatever. There's a huge crap ton, way more times. So I don't give a crap what YouTube does. Doesn't matter. But it's just funny how the machine works. And this is what we're trying to break. And that's kind of one of the, it's one of the hard things too about getting big. Because once you get big, you start reaching into this other category where different people start to come after you because you're significant. So sometimes staying sort of under the radar, might not be the worst thing in the world. Just make sure, and this is what I think is different about my channel and others, is I have a very awesome audience, and you guys are the best. So we're moving through this together, and we're quite an army, and that's a beautiful thing. In a good way, a peaceful army of love. We'll throw flowers at you if something has to get violent. Manchin slams 17 educated idiots. I know Manchin's a Democrat. I know Manchin did this, and this in the past. It's kind of why, one of the reasons this is being played. The other reason is I actually think this dude's a rock star, unsung hero. Manchin on at least 3 for sure. I'm thinking 5, 6, 7 times. There were votes that literally came down to the fact that he was the one Democrat that said no. And because of that, it didn't pass. He pissed off his party. He even at one point said, I'm no longer a Democrat. He's one of the few that's done it. Now, again, I know he's done things in the past. I get that. What he's done today, I think is powerful. And his words are kind of like Musk and all these people. Think about that. Every one of these people that's one of them. He was a them. Coming out of the them thing and speaking about it. Yeah, they were a shithole. That's why they're shocked that they're even like escaping from the Matrix, coming out of that with that goo that they put you in the little, right? The little thing where they pull the thing out of your throat. Anyway, that was one of the worst parts of that. But it was a Matrix, good movie. Here's Manchin talking some shizzle.
My next guest left the Democratic Party, went independent, and said, I'm going to go move on to do something else after being governor of the state of West Virginia and then moving on as senator. Senator Joe Manchin, I couldn't wait to talk to you when I saw the results because you've been saying this all along. Were they right? Was this about racism and sexism? Is that why Kamala Harris lost?
Absolutely not, Brian. This is about basically the Democratic Party, the party that I was born and raised in, being fiscally responsible and socially compassionate, and always there to help the working person who had a job, wanted to keep that job, wanted to have a safe working condition, wanted to make it had good pay with benefits. They could take care of their family and have a quality life. They forgot them, and what the party over the years has just moved from there, spending more time and effort on helping those who are able-bodied but won't work or don't work. That's what happened. Right. So they're saying, wait a minute, the people that aren't incapable of working but won't work or don't work, you're more concerned about them than you are about those of us who are paying the freight. We're out there working every day. And I said, you can never leave your base. Your base is the people that are working. That's why we call them, we're from workers. Well, everybody's for workers. Well, if you're for workers, make sure that the people who aren't working have better opportunities or better benefits than they have.
Senator, one
That's
thing
what happened, Brian, in a nutshell.
And Senator, there's a lot of people making different excuses, but I remember you along the way. You said that Joe Biden I know is centrist. The people he surrounded him with and the policies that were put out there were not centrist. You said that from day one, and you were considered the bad guy.
I was the bad guy, that's for sure. They didn't want to hear the truth. I said, listen, I told President Biden, I've known him for a long time. I like him. He's a good person. We've gotten along fine. What the Democratic Party is trying to do to Joe Biden now is absolutely ludicrous. Why would you treat anybody, the person that gave 50 years of their service, whether you liked it or not, whether you agreed or not, but my goodness, just be decent, be respectful and decent. He tried, okay? A lot of things I didn't agree with him, but I didn't have a problem speaking truth to power as long as you do it in a respectful way. I just disagreed on things. I said, Mr. President, you're being pushed too far left. That's not who you've been. You didn't govern that way when you were here. You didn't go clear far left. When you were on the stage running for election in the primary against all the other Democrats, you were the only one that says, listen, I know how the place works. I can bring people together. Then you came in throwing nuclear bombs because they convinced you had to do everything by yourself. Don't worry about the Republicans. Well, my golly, we need Republicans and we need Democrats that will work together. And if the leader doesn't do that, and I'm praying to God, I want to thank and congratulate President Trump for a great victory. I want him to look back and learn from the mistakes that other people have made, and some he's probably made and wants to correct those. But the bottom line is you're going to need some Democrats working with you, Mr. President Trump. And there's Democrats that want to work with you. Give them a chance before everyone tells you they don't want you. Make them prove they don't want to work with you before you throw them under the bus, I guess.
You weren't a fan of Harris's campaign. In 107 days, I couldn't see how she defined herself. Could you? Do you think she was a good candidate?
Well, Kamala Harris, all she had to do was just say, listen, I'm number two. I was number two. I didn't make these decisions. But now if she'd agreed with him and she didn't basically say that there was a mistake, I'd have done this different, that done different. My goodness, agree that leaving Afghanistan was a disaster. It made us look weak around the world. Leaving the borders porous. Having the ability to get asylum at the border without being any checks, that's wrong. And you got to admit you made mistakes and then fix them. My goodness, a politician's afraid to say, I'm sorry, I messed this one up. I'm going to fix it.
Senator,
okay? They can't do that. And she didn't believe in the energy. We forced them. We're producing more energy today, more gas, more oil than we ever have before. And we're investing in new, cleaner technology. They went with the green, with the EVs, electric vehicles, just what you said when you opened your dialogue up. You're exactly correct. They want to push out EVs. I said, are you crazy? There's nobody in West Virginia wants to buy an EV. I said, usually the market will basically come and buy what they want, not what you want them to have. That's the problem you all have. You cannot force on me to spend my money that I work for on things I don't want. And then you got to basically, you're going to outlaw it. I said, none of this makes sense at all. And that's what we've been fighting. And that's a disagreement we've had. I've been up front with them. I have told him I couldn't take it no more. I said, I cannot stay in this party and have identification being a Democrat. I am not a Washington Democrat. Never have been. And the Democrats I have known are gone.
Senator, would you join a Trump administration if he asked you?
Here's the thing. I've said this, and I mean this with all my heart, Brian. I want my president. I want my president. And guess what? Donald Trump is my president now. I want him to succeed. I will do anything and everything I can to help him and assist him. I will help anybody he wants in his transition team. I understand the energy policies. I understand what they've done wrong with the Biden administration that needs to be fixed, the rules they put in place. I don't have any desire to be in an administration or still be in a payroll of the federal government. I've been in the Senate for 14 years. I was in twice a governor. I've got 42 years of experience. I think I can help as much from the outside as I could from the inside. But I've said this, every red-blooded American should want your president to do the best they can and succeed. And I'm urging everybody, the people you just showed me screaming, going crazy and all this, we're going to be just fine. Right. We are the United States of America. We have a transition in power. I thank Kamala Harris for basically her speech that she gave, acknowledging that she lost the election, that there will be an orderly transfer, that she will be there to certify Donald Trump as the president of the United States, 47th president. Gotcha. That's all helpful. We're back on course. Everyone was expecting things were going to go in chaos. Right. We didn't. And the majority of Americans spoke, Brian, and I'm happy for that. Right. And the people lay off of Joe Biden, okay? Give him, he's retiring. He's going home. He's earned that. He deserves it.
Senator,
Give him some break. Give him a break.
Good luck at your daughter's watching your daughter's soccer game. I will explain the sport to you. First, watch another game, and then I'll explain to you what you need to watch for.
Brian, I need help on soccer. I can tell you the side kick, the kick when it goes out, what's out of bounds, what's in bounds.
I'm going to work with you.
How come this person's on this side? I'm getting it, buddy. But I watched 79 minutes of 80 minutes. I saw really 1 minute and 3 seconds of exciting. I was jumping and screaming.
I'm going to talk to you about this. You're going to learn to appreciate
Okay,
the game.
I need help.
Senator Joe Manchin, I'll talk to you again.
And that's why the hell when the dude says goal, he's like, goal! For like 45 minutes, he's saying goal to like the end of time. Because it's going, God knows if they ever score again. And it's a 90-minute game, folks. It's not like cricket, at least. Good God. Cricket's like days. Days. Yes, days. Well, they got versions of it. There's shorter, longer. I don't even want to pretend I understand how it is. I have a hard enough time with just our regular sports here in America. It's like, why can't you do that? Oh yeah, because when you do the thing, it's like, what? Huh? Who's? We'll figure it out. Oh, Keith put something out pretty powerful right now, and I like it because it's kind of like a threat. It's like a vague threat. He says, if you work for HHS/NIH, think long and hard about who you have been talking to in D.C. recently. I probably shouldn't be saying this out loud, is a quote. Of course, with a ... at the end. I don't think O'Keefe is saying that as himself. He's saying that as the individual that just got busted in D.C. So somebody in D.C. at one of these departments of significance got busted. Says, well, you did. We're going to root out anybody hiding from the truth or hidden from the truth in the U.S. government one by one. Enjoy your weekend. We are hitting them from all sorts of angles. And then, again, when some of these people bring the information out, we try our best to disseminate. There's all sorts of ways that we can be involved in this. The point is rippling. It's beautiful. SCOTUS asked to review Illinois' counting mail-in ballots after Election Day. The group from Judicial Watch is calling on the Supreme Court. I don't know what the chances are, but there's a ruling that upheld Illinois law allowing mail-in ballots to be counted for 14 days after election, which I think most of us would say is absurd, especially in a place that's well known to be corrupt, especially Chicago. I mean, from the mafia, of course. It's not like they're, of course, still in charge. Roy Horace, a leader for an Illinois election integrity group, said that in a split decision, a 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals panel found that U.S. Rep. Mike Bost, Republican from Murfreesboro, had no standing to challenge the provision. But now, the 5th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals just ruled in a separate Judicial Watch lawsuit that counting ballots received after Election Day is, in fact, unlawful. Well, there's a bit of a conundrum, which means this now needs to go up to the tippy top. And hopefully we can get that. Because when it comes down to it, at some point, you have rules in place, and then, well, because somebody didn't do their job, so we've got to what? The rules don't matter? No, we have rules for a reason. Well, but the post office is having the rules are the rules. That's why you have rules. And then 14 days, what the hell? Why don't we just extend it out, well, I don't know, until we feel like we've accomplished the numbers we want? You should just say that. So we'll see if SCOTUS picks it up. I hope they do. We'll find out. Senator Rand Paul warned that Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, he could face legal repercussions over his opposition to President-elect Donald Trump's proposed mass deportations of illegal immigrants. Johnston is one of several mayors who have stated they will not assist the incoming Trump administration with its deportation plan, stating that Denver would, quote, continue to be a welcoming, open, big-hearted city, end quote. Paul, who has expressed criticism of Trump's plan to use the army to carry out his deportation plan, warned the mayor that his resistance could be taken to the Supreme Court, where he could potentially be removed from office. Quote, I don't know whether or not there would be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law. Now, this is law, and this is sort of different for all the people that are going to try to equate this to Texas and what Texas did. And what I think the difference is Texas was literally trying to protect its own border, even though the government wouldn't. And so by stopping the easy flood of immigration, it pushes it off to other places or whatever, it made it better for Texas. There was the fight there because they weren't deporting people or stopping deporting people or protecting people, right? It was a little different. They were going against the federal government. There is undoubtedly some similarities. I think these are kind of different. This is literally going around we're literally going to protect people that have been deemed criminals by the federal government. Well, that's illegal. It's one thing to try to put razor wire or cantina or whatever the shit they call it across an area so they can't come in. Preventing crime, technically, because once they come in, they've technically become illegal, committed a crime, become a criminal, right? Like, technically saving crime numbers, which is probably what the Biden administration was touting. So this is going to be a big part of, I think, like a lot of people said, the rippling, the waking, the just what happens. I don't know if they try to flood even more people once Trump comes in to try to prove a point, or again, we've seen the game. How does this round go? I hope a lot of you guys are asking that same question. I'm trying to imagine a better world. That's for dang sure. I'd like to get out of this rut. I'd like to stop thinking about stupid stuff like this and start thinking about, I don't know, at least having barbecues together again. That was fun when life used to be simpler. Trump's border czar pointedly warns sanctuary cities could be prosecuted if they harbor aliens, period. They need to be aware of a couple things. Number one, impending a federal law enforcement officer is a crime. Number two, if you knowingly harbor or conceal an illegal alien from ICE, that's a crime. So don't cross that line, is what Tom Homan is saying. Don't do it. Snap. Shoulda. If he was that chick in Congress, he woulda. Then our boy Higgins would have come in. Well, let me just tell you something funny. No, anyway. It'd be fun if we could have tied those stories together. CNN's Tapper refuses to disclose his salary, other financial info in this billion-dollar defamation lawsuit. He's like, I don't have to disclose that stuff, even though I think he's the person that said what he said. So I don't see how he's going to win this one, but it sounds like he's fighting this tooth and nail. That'll be fun because, yes, Jake, it's going to go public, just like what you guys would do. Hell, they'll probably play it on your own network. That'd be funny. The Alaskan Republican Party, they've engaged Harmeet Dillon, the lawyer, I believe, to conduct a recount and examination of the state's election outcomes related to the proposition to repeal ranked choice voting. Apparently, they're trying to get rid of that there in the, what do you guys call Alaska? The Lone Star? No, that's Texas. What? The Never Sun's Out fish place? I don't know. I'm just kidding. I actually don't know. I'm totally ignorant. I'm trying to think and make it funny at the same time, but being stupid. But no, never works. Apparently, the Alaska Republican Party will request a statewide recount and review of the election results for the ballot measure 2. The repeal of the ranked choice. So, yeah, they're going to try to do this request, get it going. So this is things that need to happen all over the place. You guys, certainly in your areas, is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to have a lot more of you guys doing your own versions of channels for your local areas, because it would be a way to kind of ripple harder in certain places. But all said, this is one of those places where we've really got to look at what's happening, what recount efforts are happening in our own states, and then try to help accentuate those, So yeah, that's one of the things we got to get going on with a lot of this stuff. So we'll keep at it, best I can say. These are weird. I don't know why this is one of the stranger pictures they've got. This is fantastic news, by the way, right here. Yeah. Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, resigns abruptly. I say it British because she just struck me as being that way. She's not. She never talked like that. She just sucked. But she abruptly resigns. Very interesting. Probably she never had facial expressions. That might be why I consider her British. Who knows? Don't know why she's being played by by that voiceover actor in this particular movie. So the fact that we got rid of her is huge, but then think of the potential on that too, which is kind of fun. So right now we don't actually have a treasury. I mean, sure, the secondary person assumes sort of control or whatever, but interesting things afoot, my friends. Okay, I want to point this out again just because I kind of think it's important to just understand this. And this is why I honestly think, one, there's a lot of growth to come, and two, I think we're in a scary buckle your seatbelt kind of time in life. Now, cryptocurrencies have gone extraordinarily high, and there's a super high amount of billions, like 38 billion or something like that, has been spent buying cryptos. I think that's awesome. You do that, you feel good at that. That's cool. What I have a problem with is, like, it's not physical. Like, there's a lot of people actually believe there's such a thing as a Bitcoin, and there's not. It's a crypto. Crypto's crypto, and it doesn't exist. This is a physical thing, like a dollar. I can walk around the corner, hand it to somebody, and walk back around with, I don't know, a puppy. Right? Hope they don't cost that much in the future. That'd be scary. But it's a physical item. Now, this physical item has spiked during some of the biggest traumatic events in our economy, right? So we got, right back when Reagan first came in, right? And he sort of got us off we ended up pegging us to petrol, I think, but he got us off. So I don't know what happened. Carter did something. I don't fully understand it. I should. I read about it. I just can't bring it to memory. But so huge thing happened. Reagan got crapped on. It hurt him on that election, the first midterm election. He got bastardized. But ultimately, this saved our nation. Giant spike. We also get a giant spike over here in 2008. Well, 11 really too. We had a couple of them. But yeah, the initial was over here. So yeah, how that got even worse. And then it dropped back down. But here's the thing. We've got this upward trajectory going. It doesn't seem to hit this same peak that's still one available, which is a ways up in the graph. Okay? So the price right now is pretty groovy. It looks like it could get as high as close to 50 or more, some say. But I don't want to, let's not be crazy. Let's assume the graph holds true because it's been pretty straight line. We're going up in a big way. Why? Somebody knows what's actually happening. Here's gold. Here's the other funny thing about gold. Now, since probably late 60s, early 70s, wherever it was, when we finally decoupled ourselves from gold, it has done nothing but go up. And it's been spiky all the times we've had major financial collapses. So 80, we had one, right? I'm not the historian to remember all this stuff. Again, we've got the whole 2011, right, from the 2008 spike. Went back down, sure. And then we're Rocket Man right now. I don't know where gold goes. I don't know. It's doing very well. Today, it's slightly down, I think. When we look at the numbers, yeah, it's down a lot. It's down $90. Woohoo! But look at that trajectory. This is why I talk about what I talk about. There's an easy way to get out of a 401k or an IRA. It's to go into a precious metals IRA. I don't know how else to do it. You can do it tax-free, penalty-free. That's kind of what's cool about it. And it is my good friends at Goldco that make it easy to happen. Partners with them, of course. And this is extremely powerful, how you can move it. Like, I stopped investing at one point. I did move some over to something else. You've got to do something with it. Leaving it in their system is not necessarily, in my mind, the best course. Again, I've got some precious metals, definitely. I bought from Goldco. They're amazing. I'm also a partner. You're helping the channel out with this, of course. Thank you. But this is about moving out of their system, tax-free and penalty-free, into something that right now, again, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. I don't know what or where. I don't have the crystal ball. But I see what's happening. And I see easily where it can and does go typically. We're going to see how this one plays out. But many of us think this even could be the bigger bump. I don't know. Get out of their system, tax-free, penalty-free. DRSlikesgold.com. Even if it's $5,000, the funny thing, they're giving away up to 10% free silver. Giving free silver for going through this process. moving on. There's steps, obviously, and they make it so easy and friendly and pain-free, frankly. That's almost scary with it. Frank, I don't know, it always weirds me out when things are so easy that you're like, it was like weirdly, like that should have been more painful. I don't know why. DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. A lot of crazy going on. World stuff, especially. We've got some hard words being shown. And it's funny that that whole Russian thing, those multiple MERVs, when I was counting them the first video, I meant to talk about it yesterday. When I was counting them the first video, I'm like, 6 of them. Yeah, that's what I thought. No. And we're going to see a video today at some point. I think it's down the road here. But they literally, each one of those lights, you could see multiple explosions happening. So there's like multiples within each one of those lights. So each one of those 6 lights was either one missile or one MERV had multiple warheads too. And that's what maybe makes it so much cooler. I don't know, but there was multiple things hit. We'll get there and you'll see them. And it's just like, dang. So yeah, this we're in a definite stalemate, I think. And I think Russia's done well on this. Putin's like, don't cross this line. Seriously, you'll lose. We promise. We don't want to have to use it like that. Don't make us. We've just demonstrated what we can do with it. We'll get there. I'm teasing it a little maybe. So this I just kind of wanted to bring up, hopefully shortly. David Brock. This is probably a name that you know much better than I did. I don't know, whatever. The whole world right now is talking about him and his dark money donors and all this and how he's been very heavily involved in American politics. I kind of want to just, without spending time on all the story, like I'm sure David's a horrible guy, don't get me wrong, and I'm 100% sure that he should come down big time or be brought down, but I also want to put him in perspective because my point is he's not the only one. And there's a thing called the fall guy, right? Sam Bankman-Fried, great example. A bunch of people are doing that. A bunch of people were doing that. We let him fall, and it silences the whole thing, and then kind of puts trust back in the system. But he just got caught or shafted. The same is happening when it comes to dark money. So we're starting to see people pop up. So David Brock's one of them. Keep him in mind. He's a whole lot of people. Media Matters and the American Independent Foundation, right? They were scooping up money. These are 2 of the big keys that come out of this. When I say it's not that much, they're talking, I want to say about 58 million. When I went reading through this more, they kind of break that down into pieces. But yeah, 58 million. Kamala spent $1 billion. So no offense, but 58 million's, not that much. I mean, it's a lot, but long way to go. Get to $1 billion. So that is an interesting thing to think about because that kind of puts perspective on it, at least in my opinion, right? 58 million versus $1 billion is like it's like 10 times would be 580 million. You're at $500 million now. So almost 20 times? That basically puts you there. 20 times more than 58 million. So who are the other 19 people? I think we're starting to get to the bottom of stuff. I hope. Elon Musk floats buying MSNBC, but he's not the only billionaire who may be interested. This is a funk story. I don't know. This is an interesting story. I don't even know what to tell you. So Comcast says this. Well, first off, just to back up one step. So NBC decoupled from MSNBC. Right now, MSNBC is literally floating on its own. It's not for sale. It, I guess, is loosely owned in some way by Comcast. And then SpinCo is apparently a company that's working out a purchase for it. They're going to have it and a few others of these. MSNBC, CNBC, and some other brands. It sounds like they're going to try to pick up a lot of these things, this junk that's falling apart right now, that's being shedded. They're going to shove it into this SpinCo company, which is a funny name. And they're going to obviously try to control the media through that. And this, again, is the deep state megaphone. NBC doesn't want to be that anymore, I don't think. They're trying to get their credibility back. I think CNN, they've kicked a lot of their digital crap because that was a lot of the ridiculous, and then they've fired some people. And again, we've seen, we'll see in how things continue to play out. So this is like, MSNBC may already be being purchased, first off, and I still thought it was kind of ridiculous for Musk to buy it. I don't think there's any need for that. But we'll see what and how it plays out exactly. Let's see, Arizona corruption. Get a little more extra info for you guys. Katie Hobbs appears to have illegally used federal pandemic relief funds when she spent $700,000 on a new logo for Arizona. Now, first off, I want to know what company, who owns it, who is the person that primarily got most of that $700,000 to design the new logo. Want to know who that is. Who got the biggest chunk of this 700 grand? Because designing a logo is pretty low overhead. I need a pencil sharpener and some pencils. All right, even if I'm going to be aggressively stupid, they got to be really good pencils. All right, I'll give you $1,000 on that. So $699,000, that's a lot of extra money, but not a lot of, right? Oh, paper. You need paper. Oh, God, right? So let's get out of here. So full accounting of every penny, where it's spent, what happened. This is, first off, it's illegal, apparently. You're not allowed to spend money out of what it's for. That was pandemic relief money. You spent it to make a new logo. This was Katie Hobbs, too, by the way. The new one, the one that shouldn't have ever have won to begin with, because, yeah, our friend should have won. Judge rejects U.S. government attempt to sanction Elon Musk. It's pretty funny. It's kind of funny, I think. Federal judge turned down a request. Basically, they said sanctioning Musk, the billionaire owner of SpaceX and the social media platform X, would not serve a purpose, U.S. District Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley wrote in a 3-page decision. It was a case brought by U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The parties agreed that Musk would testify on September 10th. 3 SEC lawyers flew to Los Angeles for the deposition. But on the morning of September 10th, lawyers for Musk told SEC lawyers that Musk could not testify because his position as chief technology officer of SpaceX required he urgently travel to the East Coast for the Polaris Dawn launch. Essentially, you're timing to interrupt things that were already planned, because that Polaris Dawn launch was planned, and you're going to then schedule something that day. It's like, no, sorry. And they're like, well, we're going to take you down for that. And basically the federal judge said, no, that's stupid. That doesn't benefit anybody. Thanks. Because Musk eventually showed up. Now, maybe some lawyers had to stand around. Who knows? Axios is putting this out, and I don't trust Axios at all. But when they put things out, I'm like, all right, what's the angle here? What's going on? So this made me think of something. So they're saying, this is Axios, Trump likely to tap loyalist Kash Patel for top FBI or DOJ post. They're very worried about Kash Patel. Very worried. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've noticed, that he is kind of all over the place. I don't mean all over the place in like zigzagging or anything. I mean from the standpoint of he's on everybody's show right now. And Kash is popular. People like him. This scares the shit out of the deep state, and the deep state doesn't know where he's going to go, but they know the second Donald Trump announces it, that he will, in fact, be attacked like nobody's business. It is entirely possible somebody has currently been told that they're the appointment. That may change late in the game, or I don't know. Hypothetical, totally. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's an interesting avenue that like opens a bunch of doorways. I talked about it yesterday, and it's kind of still stuck in my head. What if they actually do let the government shut down on December 20th, I think it is. And then it's like a month after that, something else kind of happens. I forget all of the posts even on that, but what happens if they literally let all this stuff shut down? And then Trump comes into office, but Congress is technically shut down or whatever, unfunded, or stuff's shut down, FBI and everything else, who knows? And basically that's the thing we hold over their head, the appointments versus budget. You give us the appointments, or we can wait this out for a little period of time. And they're just starving them at that point, because the deep state needs our money. They need the budget. They need the money. They're laundering much of it. But when it gets shut off, that spigot gets shut, there's no money. Now, they can play it up politically all they want, but We're the media now. So Kash Patel could get snuck in at that point, brought in at that point. Who knows? If Trump gets that special appointment session where he just appoints whoever he needs to because it's a time of emergency, I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened, it seems, these days, huh? Trump's administration's got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Advisor to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reached out to Health and Human Services Department multiple times after Donald Trump tapped him to lead the massive agency, hoping to jumpstart coordination before his takeover in late January, but they were rebuffed. So Kennedy is trying to get the ball rolling. I don't need to read the rest of this because it's a political article just trying to smear Kennedy. But what's important is he actually tried to reach out to the current administration's Health and Human Services Department, so he could get some info and then start working. You got some sort of transition stuff? And they're like, no. So, yeah, he's fighting a little bit of an uphill battle. We've also got the FCC guy that's taking over stuff. He's got some cool stuff to say, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart. Check it out.
Tell us how you're going to cut through all of that overreach, and will you be able to reverse this? Because this has been going on a long time, the censorship we all remember during COVID and beyond, and this targeting of people who do not agree with the Biden-Harris administration. Tell us about your plans to actually reverse all of that.
Step one for me is to make sure I continue to work with President Trump and his team over the coming weeks as the transition is complete. I want to make sure that I understand 100% President Trump's agenda. After all, when it comes to his administration, the American people voted for him and voted for his agenda. And right now they're doing a great job putting a transition team in place. For my own part, there's a couple of top priorities that jump to mind. Number one, as you noted, is censorship. Americans have lived under an unprecedented surge in censorship over the last couple of years, and we have to work together to smash the censorship cartel. Number two is media. It's not just my opinion. You look at Jeff Bezos, he recently did an op-ed where he said trust in media is at an all-time low, and there's a lot the FCC can do there to make sure that broadcasters are in fact serving the public interest. Number three is going to be unleashing economic opportunity. When President Trump came in 2017, he turned things around very quickly with his chairman Ajit Pai. That's going to require permitting reform, spectrum, and the space economy. Look, right now it takes longer to move an application from one bureaucrat's desk to another than it does to actually build a rocket ship. So we're going to add some rocket fuel to that process and get it going. And number four, lastly, is national security. Look, right now, top of mind for everybody is this Salt Typhoon hack. We're looking very closely at it. Those are going to be a very important set of issues there. And for too long in this government, particularly over the last couple of years, your last name dictated how the government treated you. If your last name was Soros, well, the commission bent over backwards and gave you a special, unprecedented commission-level shortcut to buy 200 radio stations. If your last name was Musk, well, then you lost $800 million contracts that you lawfully got. Everybody now is going to get a fair shake going forward.
Will Soros still be able to acquire those 200 radio stations?
There's a petition for reconsideration pending at the FCC right now, and I want to take a very hard look at that.
Yeah, it's just the people are attacking hard. Fears are growing that Trump could push out dozens of government watchdogs. There's all sorts of people talking about dropping out. In fact, we've got some confirmations. 2 in-house investigators at U.S. intelligence agencies recently quit their jobs. There are growing fears in Washington that they could be the start of an exodus or a purge, which wouldn't many of us say is what we want. Now, they're saying this is a wave of departures by inspectors general who would give President-elect Donald Trump the opportunity to nominate or appoint people of his choice to the watchdog posts, leaving dozens of federal departments, agencies, and offices subject to oversight by people who would owe their positions to Trump. Yeah, loyalty. So in the wake of Trump election, CIA Inspector General Robin Ashton and Intelligence Community Inspector General Thomas Monheim revealed they plan to leave the government in the coming weeks. So again, many of these interagencies, 17 intelligence agencies, know what's coming. And they know who's who and whether or not they're going to survive this. Damian Williams, Manhattan's top federal prosecutor, is going to resign ahead of the Trump inauguration. Yeah. Federal prosecutor in Manhattan said he plans to resign. He is the Southern District of New York guy. One of the most significant posts out there, I think. I think LA is trying to shift some of it to them, but we'll see. Or it has some itself. We'll find out. This is also interesting news. Trump prepares wide-ranging energy plan to boost gas exports, oil drilling. So again, he's gonna drill, baby, drill, like he said. His transition team, they're putting together this wide-ranging energy package plan. So again, they're already working their tails off. They know exactly what needs to happen, regardless of almost who even gets appointed. They're immediately going to have tasks to move forward. As hard as the deep state tries to stop this, I think we've got so many different things planned, and all the stuff they could have probably used against us has been taken from them by them. This is going to be interesting times, folks. Interesting times. Here's a pretty awesome question that Tom Homan, he's the guy that's going to be the new border dude, right? He's going to, border czar or whatever. He's going to block all sorts of stuff. Well, he was on with our boy, what the hell's his name? What is his name? Mark Levin. There you go, Levin. He was on with him, and powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. What's going on?
And you know, Tom Homan, you got a very, very powerful weapon that the Democrats, when they're in power, use against Republican administrations, state and local, all the time. Federal funding. If you have a governor who says, I'm not going to cooperate, and I'm going to block you, well then, federal funds should be slashed to that state, and I mean hugely so the people of that state understand that the governor is the responsible party, that the mayor's the responsible party. They can beat their chest to being sanctuary cities all they want. They're part of the United States, whether they like it or not. This is a federal issue. Even the governor of Texas, he's the one trying to enforce federal law against the Biden administration. That won't. But these states, much like the Confederacy, they want to go on their own. They want to do their own thing. To me, you've got a powerful weapon, among others, which is, okay, no federal funds. Boom. Last thoughts.
And that's going to happen. I guarantee you, President Trump will do that.
And you know, Tom Homan, you got a very, very powerful...
Yeah, so exceptionally powerful. I mean, the narrative's already being put out there. The narrative's already being created. The net's already being put up. We're all putting our arms out and just slowly walking forward. It's happening at a large pace. People are going to start to, slash around a little bit, but I think we're going to be doing better than we thought. Jack Smith stepping down. Here's kind of the thumbnail, if you will. ABC covering, I think, 2 of the stories.
Good afternoon. I'm Diane Macedo. We're coming on the air because ABC News has learned special counsel Jack Smith is officially moving to drop the January 6th election interference case against President-elect Trump. He's also expected to move to dismiss the classified documents case against Trump, possibly as early as today. Smith charged Trump last year with plotting to overturn the 2020 election and illegally storing classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. But the Department of Justice had signaled it will not prosecute a sitting president, and Jack Smith has said he plans to step down as special counsel before Trump takes office. During the campaign, Trump also said he would fire Smith and his entire team upon returning to the White House. Let's get right to ABC senior reporter Catherine Falders. Catherine, what's the latest?
So we've been reporting, of course, that special counsel Jack Smith was looking at the mechanisms in which he could wind down these 2 federal cases, the January 6th one and the classified documents one. So today, what we're learning through a filing that has just come out and posted on the court's docket, Diane, is that Jack Smith is asking the judge in a motion to dismiss, to essentially dismiss the case, that they are going to throw out this case. It's important to point out that Trump was facing 4 counts total here of conspiracy and obstruction. Now, they re-indicted him. They issued a superseding indictment, if you will, back in August after the Supreme Court ruled that Trump was essentially protected of those acts that they found official. So this was the August indictment with 4 counts he was facing. But what's important here is the special counsel signaled through court filings that they were going to consult with DOJ, with the Office of Legal Counsel within DOJ, to figure out and assess how they could move forward with both of these cases, given that Trump won the election. Now, they say here that through that consultation, that they believed that after careful consideration, and I want to read this, the department determined, DOJ determined, that prior opinions concerning the Constitution's prohibition on federal indictment and prosecution of a sitting president apply to this situation, given that Trump is president-elect. They said that the department believed that this case must be dismissed prior to the inauguration. Now, it's important to point out here that the special counsel is not saying that they don't believe that Trump committed these alleged offenses. In fact, they go out of their way to state that in this 6-page filing. They say, the special counsel does, that prohibition, so the prohibition not to charge a sitting president or a president-elect, that prohibition is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the government stands fully behind. But the reality of this is they're asking the judge in this motion to dismiss to toss out the case. They're saying that they still believe the gravity of these charges. The question is, in terms of what's next, what do we see from the special counsel? We know that under special counsel regulations, the special counsel issues a report when their case is closed. So how soon can we see that report? Is it drafted? It has to go through a classification review. That could take weeks. So are they up against the clock here, and do they release something publicly in report form before the inauguration?
So 2 cases dropped. That's powerful stuff in the big picture. So Jack Smith officially moves to dismiss his own appeal, but he kind of is a little bitchy about it, I think. He says, as a result of the election held on November 5th, 2024, defendant Donald J. Trump will be inaugurated as president of on January 20th, 2025. For the reasons set forth in United States v. Trump, moving to dismiss criminal prosecution as defendant Trump in the United States District for the District of Columbia. God, I hate how they write. The United States of America moves pursuant to Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 42 and 11th Circuit Rule 42-1. Oh, yeah, let's put my camera on so you can see how friggin' much I'm hating this. To dismiss the appeal in this case as to defendant Trump. Dismissing the appeal as to defendant Trump will leave in place the district court's order dismissing the indictment without prejudice as to him. Now, this is important. They just want to leave this kind of against him so they can bring it back up later, which I don't think is legal, but who knows? So they're going to dismiss it without prejudice. The appeal concerning the other 2 defendants will continue because, unlike defendant Trump, no principle of temporary immunity applies to them. The government has consulted with counsel for defendant Trump, who do not object to this motion. So right now they're going to shut that down. That's probably still a good thing, better than most anyways. A sharp stick in the eye at least, that's for sure. American people reelected President Trump with an overwhelming mandate to make America great again. Today's decision by the Department of Justice ends the unconstitutional federal cases against President Trump and is a major victory for the rule of law. The American people and President Trump want an immediate end to the political weaponization of our justice system, and we look forward to uniting our country. Stephen Chung, Trump's communications director. Again, more strong, powerful words. Top NATO official calls on business leaders to prepare for wartime scenario. We are in a tough place right now. So we got senators want watchdogs to investigate the TSA's facial recognition technology. I feel like that was in the wrong place. Yeah, it kind of was. Anyway, it works. Anyways, we got a watchdog that's supposed to look into TSAs using the facial scans that they use all over the airports. One, technologies exist certainly from the intelligence standpoint that can use the cameras, I think, that exist in most airports for that matter, and do facial recognition from those. What a lot of this is meant to do is to get that initial scan right up front. One, they want you on record to an ID. They want to be able to imprint. They want to get a scan and an imprint of you. Problem is some of these companies doing this are third-party companies. They're not actually the government. So whether the information ever gets sent or sold, well, it'll just depend on when or where or if China gets involved or whatever. So this is technology that they're trying, in my opinion, to make more accessible to more nefarious people. Because otherwise, right now, it's like really set in the top echelons of security, like, you know, the NSA and stuff like that. Like they've got in airports, they can recognize, they know where everybody is. You know, most of the time it works really good. I think this is just something stupid where they want to be able to. Well, one thing of this too, for all you guys that do the face scan on your phone, that's another thing, by the way. If they get a face picture of you, that's now another image of that face scan. That's just an image, folks. I could put that on a big picture and probably put that in front of your phone. I bet some of you guys should try that and see if that works. Because a flattened image of you and then just put like an iPad over your iPhone with just an image of your face and see if that unlocks your phone, because I probably will. And then think about that for a second. Not to mention if you're knocked out, you can hold it over your face. Like so stuff like that, or your fingers. Like it's just biometrics. You give up your bio, it sucks. That's the thing. And we're losing important stuff in TSA. Hopefully this goes through. Hopefully they can stop it. Oddly, we've got Senator Cruz and Elizabeth Warren in agreement, so that freaks me out a whole bunch. Completely does. I don't know what's going on there, but they're somehow worried about it. Something's got to be wrong on that. It just freaks me out. Senior Russia general is sacked or fired, as they say here in the States, by Putin for faking success stories. So this dude was making up like successes, like, now we're doing really good. We just broke through a whole bunch of stuff. And then he's like, do you have specifics? I don't know why Putin has a Russian accent and this guy doesn't. He's like, no, we have no specifics. Come on, don't be crazy. And so, yeah, he got sacked, as they say. U.S. officials discussed giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine. First off, this is just funny to me. They talked about it. Who gives a shit? If we actually gave nukes to Ukraine, that would be pantomime to total thermonuclear war, unquestionably. Because Ukraine will use it. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, sure, whatever. Whatever you want me to do. Yes, Daddy, just give me some more money. That's it. They'll do whatever. Start World War III? Sure. It'd be our missile, our weapon. Or England. This is pretty well done. I'll kick it up a little speed because I'm plenty long now, but they're talking about the war and how close we're inching to World War III right now. And this is mostly the Democrat people that are pushing this stuff. All the Democrat people, all the people on the left, that global warming people and stuff. Like, let's just nuke the planet. It's warming, so we'll kill everybody. That's a solution. And in their minds it is, actually. So, yeah, here you go.
At the U.S. and our allies after President Biden gave Ukraine the go-ahead to fire the long-range missile that we've provided deep into Russia. The missiles are targeting Russian military sites that are used by Russians to savagely attack our ally Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin with this warning about the use of those missiles.
We consider ourselves entitled to use our weapons against military facilities of those countries that allow their weapons to be used against our facilities. I recommend that the ruling elites of those countries that are hatching plans to use their military contingents against Russia seriously think about this.
Rebecca Koffler, strategic military intelligence analyst, former Defense Intelligence Agency official, joins us now. Rebecca, always good to see you. You know, many say President Biden should have given the green light to use these long-range missiles long before to push Putin back and help Ukraine. What do you think will happen now that Ukraine is using them and Putin retaliated, in a sense, by using this new hypersonic missile?
So we war gamed this scenario, exactly this scenario, back in the intelligence community. And we are right now on the escalation ladder, inching towards a nuclear war. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow, but the way that it happens, Eric, the Russians and the United States are de facto right now in a war. Why is that? It is because those attackers don't fire by themselves, even though Ukrainian soldier technically can push the button, but the targeting of the weapon systems, ensuring that there's a proper flight trajectory of the missile, that it destroys the right target, the actual battle damage achieved that we wanted to achieve, it all requires U.S. personnel and U.S. satellites. This is why the Russians have stated that the United States and European targets are now in crosshairs. And every war game that we conducted back in the intelligence community ended up in a nuclear war. There was an escalation ladder, and the Russians have mapped that out in the course of 20 years, and we're on it right now.
Well, some supporters say, you know, Ukraine has the right to defend itself, that it's just targeting Russian military sites that are attacking Ukraine, and this is perfectly legal and appropriate under international law.
Absolutely. From the standpoint of the laws of conflict, Ukraine is entitled to its defense. And this is what the United States has been doing. But there's a rational approach, and then there's an irrational, a senseless one. And President Biden himself, just 2 years, he told his DNC donors at the fundraising event in New York, he explained that the reason why he was not providing those strategic missile systems at the time in quantities and needed for Ukraine to actually make a difference on the battlefield is to prevent World War III. Biden also said that the threat of nuclear Armageddon is real. And so what he has done is a 180. So it's unclear right now why he's doing it, but whether he's trying to walk us into this war, yes, absolutely. There's a difference between the right and between the actual reality. And the reality that we are in, we are inching very steadily to the unthinkable that was gamed out by the U.S. intelligence community. And the U.S. intelligence community, as recently as September, advised President Biden against providing the ATACMS because Putin would likely retaliate, including with lethal means, against the United States and against Europe, saying nothing about Ukraine. Ukraine is being destroyed right now.
Well, at the same time, they've been holding back Russia. He's taken about 18% of the territory. Finally, in terms of Russia, I mean, Putin has had to rely on Kim Jong-un and get 10,000 North Korean soldiers. Now there are reports he's relying on the Houthis. I mean, some say the Russian army has been decimated. They've had hundreds of thousands of losses that without a loss of an American life, the Allies have basically whittled down and practically destroyed the Russian army.
So I respectfully disagree with this characterization, Eric. You know, I'm a former intelligence officer. My intelligence assessment, and it is shared by multiple experts, is that no, the Russian army has not been decimated. In fact, the Russian army, from the standpoint of combat potential, which is calculated by a combination of weapon systems, armed forces, the capacity of military-industrial complex to reproduce, to scale up, and defense economics, Ukraine is massively outgunned and outmanned. The Russian military-industrial complex is right now working on a 24/7 basis, 3 shifts a day, pumping out those missile systems. Why is that? It's because Putin has transitioned the Russian military and economy on a wartime footing 7 years prior to invading Ukraine. And I personally briefed NATO, Obama's White House, National Security Council, STRATCOM, EUCOM, and all of these key pieces of the U.S. national security community about what was coming, right, at the highly classified level. And yet, what the Pentagon has decided to do is use Ukraine effectively as a human shield to protect the Europeans who didn't want to pay for their own security.
And finally, quickly, it seems like a standoff. How do you think this will end? What do you see happening in the next year?
Well, hopefully, President Trump will come in and settle this. He is the only president that Putin fears, the only U.S. president, for multiple reasons. And one of them is the U.S. Russian intelligence designated Trump as unpredictable, which means that when Trump negotiates, the Russians will not be able to tell whether he's bluffing or not, because the Russians are in excellent position to negotiate, the Ukrainians are not. But we have 60 days still when Biden, has his finger on the nuclear button, and Biden, multiple experts designated him as cognitively impaired. So we're in a very perilous situation.
Well, that's not exactly fair to say that, and others say that he's been able to maneuver this appropriately without a loss of American life. We'll see what happens. Rebecca Koffler, good to see you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Arthel?
Yeah, and I like how she kind of calls him out. She's like, yeah, no, I don't agree. And a lot of the word on the street, like she's saying, is they started their building up for the war early. We are depleted. We've literally been giving almost all of our stuff to Ukraine and Israel. We have very few Patriot missiles if we had to stock our ships, so they say. I hope we've had more intelligence around that, but that might be one of the first things that Trump does, too, immediately. Is like, we're going to stop everything that's going to anyone else. We're at war right now. Hello. And we are literally going to stop any of this shipments out, and we're going to start stocking up our own stuff. So we are probably going to see some very quick moving changes in the big picture, hopefully. Unidentified drones spotted over UK military bases that house U.S. Air Force planes. I would guess refuelers and stuff, and probably support craft for that, but whatever the case is, not real specific. But these drones, many different kinds, where they're coming from, we don't know what's going on, but they probably are military in nature. Exactly what they're studying, don't know. And again, who's doing it? Probably Russia, maybe. And this might be a base that's directly involved with some of these nuclear things, So again, it's interesting. They're sort of giving us some info. Maybe some of you guys know more about this location. Where is this? This is 3 British air bases that are housed in United States Air Force operations. Let's see, they tell us. Saturday, hovering over Royal Air Forces, Mildenhall, Feltwell, I wish, and Lakenheath, based in eastern England. They've all, so that's, and that's, okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Don't know what's going on. Number of unmanned aircraft fluctuated. They ranged in size and configuration. They don't give us much. They said they didn't get any solid info or weren't above anything important, but I mean, of course they say that. Israeli cabinet's going to vote. Oh yeah, by the way, I was making me think too. The Russian attacks. I wonder if those are like bunker busters of some kind, and I wonder if they actually took out like a deep state thing. Like, I wonder if that was actually a deep state thing. Like maybe one of the Rothschilds things or something deep underground, though, right there. It's like, because there was, again, it was multiple attacks, but you saw certain places got hit multiple times. I don't think they were looping the camera. I think they came at it a second time just to make sure we penetrated deep enough. I don't know. The Israeli cabinet is voting, or going to vote anyways, on this Lebanon ceasefire. So it sounds like, and we recently just heard about the last guy that was killed that was involved in the Iraqi thing back in, like, I don't know, 06 or whatever the hell. So this mastermind was like the 10th person that had been promoted to, what was it, Hamas or Hezbollah, one of the two, leader. He got shafted, fragged, I guess they might say. So Israeli cabinet's going to vote on this Lebanon ceasefire. Like, okay, I think we're done blowing up stuff in Beirut and Lebanon and whatnot. So we'll see. They have to vote on it. Israel's like, yeah, no, we're cool with it. Which is interesting, or Netanyahu anyways, or Benny Gantz, whatever. They're all in cahoots right now. They're cool. They're like, all right, we're ready to stop blowing up Lebanon. Okay, that's good, I guess. Maybe they're done. Over 2 million individuals have signed a petition demanding a new general election in UK. This is kind of funny because the dude, this douchehole UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer Sigheil has dismissed the petition, but he's kind of weird. Like, this is not how we do things. It's like, kind of is, I think, from my understanding. You have to actually answer a petition that has over 100,000 signatures. This has over 2 million. That's bigger than 100,000, just in case that was difficult for the Labour Party.
But are you now feeling the pressure? Because I think there's a petition that's currently
Your approval
online
ratings have dropped.
1.9 people who want the election to go again.
It's now
Is it 2 million now?
It's now just over 2 million.
Do you feel the pressure?
Look, I remind myself that very many people didn't vote Labour at the last election. I'm not surprised that many of them want a rerun. That isn't how our system works. There will be plenty of people who didn't want us in the first place. So, look, what I focus on is the decisions that I have to make every day. And it's a bit like opposition.
But surely you want us, the public, to trust you, to like you, to think he's the man for the job, he's doing what he needs to do. Your approval rating is lower than Nigel Farage's right now, which, even saying it to the Prime Minister of the country I live in, that I pay tax in, to say your approval rate is lower than Nigel Farage, that's disappointing. Whoever I support.
The thing is, if you make your mind up, as I have done, that we're going to do the difficult things first, then I think it's inevitable that people do feel they're difficult decisions. I mean, I understand that.
Maybe unburdened by what has been. Does it almost feel like that a little bit? Unburdened by what has been? I don't know, that's what we were calling it here. My Brits that are out there watching this, unburdened by what has been. Yeah, put that on a sign and chant that out there. An election shock, Romanian far-right NATO critic set to contest presidential runoff. Dun, dun, dun. Uh-oh. Now, here's the thing, folks. Worldwide, people are stepping up to the plate. Worldwide, people are realizing the deep state's coming down. Worldwide, this transition's happening. Smooth, I hope. Oh, it'll be great. Microsoft 365 experiencing all sorts of outages. Yeah, I was even having issues, not at work computer today. It was really Teams and regular Outlook. I had to bungie bounce them both. They were kind of strange stuff going on. So anyway, they're having some sort of weird outage. Whoop-de-doo. A lot of people have been had. By the way, every day I almost see I don't know, 4 times a week I see stories, it seems like, of outages lately. It's weird. A lot of stuff going on. Don't know. Oh, that reminds me. I should have looked at the sun stuff because there's a new Sunspot group coming in that just started forming really cool. So who knows? Maybe I'll have some crazy stuff to talk about tomorrow in regards to that. Georgia Public University System bans DEI admissions policies, including constitution and required learning. Kind of weird how Georgia's already immediately shifting back to more of a conservative nature, if you will. They almost got you, Georgia. They almost took your peach from you. Peachy. Just want to remind you guys, first off, I talked about it yesterday, but I actually did it. And the sleep thing's funny. I'm going to give more info on that. I'm starting to learn some stuff about flipping on sides. It's very strange, just from experience, not necessarily anything else. But it's funny how they do this, by the way. And so I'm just going to share my experience because it was kind of cool. The coupon code, mypillow.com/OTF, that's what I did. And in fact, there was a couple points in the order where I was trying to figure out how to get back to the products I was used to looking at. And still feel like I was connected to my own thing. So I put mypillow.com/OTF in, like, I think second time during the order, just to make sure I could find, because I wanted the beach towels, and those were hard to find because it's Christmas time and no one buys beach towels. I did. I think I bought like 3 or 4 of them. I think 4 of them. And got some kitchen towels. I got my 2 pillows. The classic. King size this time, though, so it actually fit the bed I got, which is very sweet. And like I said, I got some dish towels, got the blue ones. I think those will be cool in my house, my place. And then, I got like 3 or 4 of these. They had some cool patterns. I was actually surprised. I was like, that's not gay. That's actually cool. So, I got a bunch of cool stuff. I went to mypillow.com/OTF, and it said that my order cost, and you ladies are going to love this, I think, $350. Change, whatever. 300 plus 59, whatever the hell, right? $359. And then it said, you save $200, and your total's $159 or whatever, right? Yeah, something like that. That's exactly what it was. And I was like, well, that sounds great. And by the way, because it was over $75, I got free shipping. So I'm getting a bunch of cool stuff, and I'm stoked. And it's on its way to my house. So that's how it works, and that's how easy it is. You get some great stuff. They got great products, incredible products. Their flannel sheets right now, everything. Highly recommend them. Highly recommend them. And of course, my slippers. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. Mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Seriously. On one side or the other or the back, however you do it, man. However you roll. Maybe straight on your face. Bird flu found in raw milk, they say in California dairy farm. This is ridiculous. They found it. They did a testing of the milk. It wasn't like on site, it sounds like. They did a sample of raw milk from Fresno based. All right, so they went in there and got a sample, which could have easily, in my opinion, I just don't trust this stuff. Because it'd be weird for raw milk to get bird flu. They're trying so hard to figure out how to morph this or really actually create it. I think they're actually trying to in a bunch of places, and they're like, did it go? No, shit. So it's strange. Macy's, another one of these companies that, I don't know, maybe you were invested in. Their accounting employee, they said an accounting employee, not team, employee, hid up to $154 million in delivery expenses. Whoops. $154 million. We're doing great. No, we're ahead of the numbers. Everything looks good. Wait, what? There's a hid column? Wait, what? Yeah, sorry. I hid it a long time ago and forgot about it. Kept putting data in it, though. Yeah. As the U.S. electricity supply comes up short, power-hungry industries looking to go off the grid. There's a few different companies that have been trying to get into direct power companies. So far, the government's not letting them. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's not letting them. I kind of think it's a good idea that they don't necessarily. There's been talk about going nuclear, I believe. Yeah. And I don't know. There's some funny thing. If the world's actually going through this magnetic changey thing that's happening, having more nuclear plants online is actually dangerous, because if something happens and we can't attain or maintain them, I should say, properly, they can go supercritical. And so you don't want these things just spewing radioactivity, right? You just kind of, if there's a chance that we're somehow not going to be able to continue to support them, we don't really necessarily want to go with that technology, or maybe a variant that's safer, hopefully. So that's one of the things to keep up, because they're talking about different kinds of power and how we might do that. And I'm hoping there's disclosures coming up that some of the power stuff, the Tesla type stuff, if you will, is going to come out. We'll find out. Bunch of billionaires right now, and this is probably a lot of people out there are looking for technology to save them. I think a lot of people also out there in my audience realize that the potentiality to save yourself exists within yourself, and really by changing those concepts, you don't need technologies to actually make yourself better. You can make yourself better. Again, technology, and I don't want to get off into the weeds there, because there's a lot of people that are what if you into the woods, and then you get big bad wolf eat you or something. I don't know. But billionaires are creating this life-extending pill. It'll be expensive as hell. So poor people won't be able to get their hands on it. But, yeah, rich people are just going to walk around all, like, alive forever, I guess. They're saying you're going to be like a zombie at work, which I think is kind of funny. Like, I guess if I could work forever, if I could live forever, would I work forever? I don't know. I'd hope I'd figure out how to make enough money to just kind of dick off, you know, and, like, figure out ways to buy companies, like, own stuff, and I wouldn't have to worry about it, right? Like, you'd hope. I don't think I'd become a zombie, but it is funny how they try to make us think that's what you should do. And finally, prayers for Kim.com. I guess he had a stroke. He's not exactly a skinny guy, by the way, but they're trying to extradite him. He is the one that I want to say was like Napster and stuff, but it was called Mega Upload. Yeah, duh. Hello. Read the word, Dan. Mega Upload. Helps if they make the U big. But yes, he suffered a serious stroke. He says he's going to get through this, got the best people helping him, yada, yada, yada. So they're trying to bring him back here so they can throw the book at him. Who knows what's going on. But, yeah, crazy world. Long show. Sorry. All said, we have a lot. I think that's going to continue to happen, and I just want to be a part of it with you guys. I love you guys. I just want you to always remember, where we go one, we go all. Hello. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.